Hey, and welcome to Berry Aftercare Live or Berry Aftercare, the podcast, depending on where you're listening or watching. I'm happy to be with you today. I'm Dr. Connie Stapleton, and we're going to be talking in the next couple of weeks, actually, about something that's critical to losing weight and staying on track with that weight loss and maintaining that weight loss, which is habits. Yeah. We've heard about them all the time. They got to do them, blah, blah, blah. But we're going to take a deep dive into habits in terms of how are habits created, how do we break bad habits, because we need some of both. We need to develop some new healthy habits, and we need to get rid of some unhealthy habits in order to follow through with what we really want, those positive changes for a lifetime, right? So here we go. I'm titling today, Developing Habits. It's like pairing your earbuds with a cell phone, sort of. Well, after I talk for a little bit, that will make a little bit more sense, I think. So let's talk about habits. You know what a habit is. You do habits all the time, but we're going to get a little bit technical or teachery about this. And, to be very technical and teacherish, we have to go to dictionary.com, of course. That's what PhDs do, right? We go to dictionary.com. So what dictionary.com tells us is that habits, as you know, are an acquired behavior pattern regularly followed until it has become almost involuntary. So habits are things we do all the time. We've acquired the behavior, we've done them over and over and over again, and pretty soon we don't really have to think about them, and they are seemingly involuntary. We just do them without thinking about them, which is part of the problem here. And so they're just repeated actions, right? So some examples of healthy habits are brushing your teeth, hopefully more than once a day, right? Maybe saving a percentage of your income for a retirement. That's maybe for you, that's an automatic behavior. You don't even think about it. You've been taught it, or maybe it's a habit that you want to develop. I listened to a radio show and they're talking about, they were quizzing young adults like in their 30s, saying, what's something you wish you had started doing, from your very, very early adult years? And a lot of them were saying developing the habit of saving for retirement. Some other good habits are making sure you get outside. Sunshine's good for us, vitamin D, all of that thing. Using good manners, right? Saying please, saying thank you. I know forever my children are saying to their children, could you try that again? If they say, give me some, blah, 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 whatever it is, until the kid develops the habit of saying, may I please have some, whatever it is, right? Hopefully hand washing is a healthy habit you've developed along the way. So I talk a lot about this radio show because it cracks me up. It's really entertaining for me. It's almost like a soap opera. You get very involved with the characters on the show. But they were reporting something the other day about hand washing, and I can't remember. It was disgusting. You know how all the restaurants have signs, employees must wash their hands? And one of the guys was saying he never drinks sweet tea at a restaurant anymore because some kind of survey that sampled a bunch of restaurants found, I don't remember what the percentage of it was, but if you don't want to be grossed out, plug your ears. Trigger warning. A high percentage of restaurants had fecal matter cells in the sweet tea. Now, how gross is that? Apparently, not all the employees had developed the habit of washing their hands. Ew. Okay. Unhealthy habits. We may not know where these have come from, but maybe we have some unhealthy habits. Like, are you a nail biter? A lot of people are nail biters. If you ask them, when did you start biting your nails? I don't know. I've just always done it. What about cramming for an exam instead of studying a little bit along the way? So studying a little bit every day would be an amazing habit for a student. Cramming, that was me. Cramming for exams would be an unhealthy habit. And there's all kinds of research showing why that's unhealthy. But anyway, how about this one, ladies or men? Sleeping in makeup, not a healthy habit. I also heard that sleeping in makeup ages your skin 3 days. Maybe that'll be an incentive. Start taking that makeup off at night. Here's a habit that a lot of people have developed in the last decade: checking your cell phone anytime you've got a free moment. So those are examples of habits. We just do those things. We might not know why. We probably don't think about doing them. They've just become part of our life. And as you know, habits can be harmful: smoking, habit or addiction, I don't know, or health promoting, like brushing your teeth, flossing your teeth, washing those hands. Some people instinctively will reach for that cigarette. If you've ever been a smoker, maybe you reach for the cigarette first thing in the morning. When I was a smoker, yes, ew, gross, I was, for a couple of years out of college, I would reach for a cigarette every time I came out of a shopping mall or a grocery store. It was like, oh, that was so stressful. I think I'll have a cigarette. It was just a habit, right? And a lot of people who are smokers smoke when they're driving. Or, you know, any kind of alcohol or drug. It's like, oh, it's 5 o'clock. I'm going to have an alcohol. Or it's 5 o'clock. I'm going to smoke some weed, whatever it is. But so is picking up a pair of running shoes after getting home each day for some people. That would be a health promoting habit, right? It's like buckling your seatbelt when you get in a car. My grandkids are amazed when we talk about how we were put in cars when I was a child, on our parents' lap, helping them drive while we drove down the street, or 3 kids in the front seat, and the seatbelt was mom's arm across your face if she had to stop too quickly. Those are very health promoting habits, and these are good things that have happened over the years, right? Hopefully, most of you get into a car and without even thinking of it, you buckle your seatbelt because we were taught that. There's a pairing action. So when I talk about pairing your earbuds with your cell phone, it's like you pair the idea of getting in the car with strapping your seatbelt in. Or maybe you get up in the morning, first thing you do is head to the coffee pot. Or maybe when you get up in the morning, first thing you do is head for the bathroom. We have habits and we have routines. There's a little bit of a difference between a habit and routine, which we'll talk about. But the point of this is we want to develop habits that are healthy for us, and we want to break some habits that aren't. And I think we need to spend a little bit more time talking about these things so you form the habit of forming good habits. Brilliant, right? All right, so what causes habit? Learning. You learn to do something, and repetition. Let's take my grandkids, for example, and the manners. So they learn to ask for things when they can talk, or say, I want, or gimme, or whatever. Natural human behavior, right? So the parents or the adults or the daycare teachers or whomever have a lot to do with establishing these habits for children at a young age. So the habit they're intending to develop or help the child develop is a health promoting in terms of, social health, or of using good manners. So when a child asks something without using a please or a thank you, then the adult says, can you ask me again, using your good manners? Teaching children that good manners means, can I, please. So then the child repeats the behavior, this time using the good manners, and they get the reward. Or they're told no, right? But the idea is learning and repeating, learning and repeating, learning and repeating. So all of my grandkids are between the ages of 4 and 9. The 9-year-old pretty much has the habit of please and thank you down. The 4-year-olds, there are 3 of them, are still working on learning this habit of repeating. And so the parents have to repeat to them, can you use your manners, please? All right. So a lot of times habits are developed because we want something. We're pursuing a goal, right? So we buckle our seatbelt with the goal of getting there safely, or with the goal of not getting a ticket. We say please or thank you with the goal of getting hopefully what we want. We brush our teeth with the goal of hopefully not having cavities, which I have one right now and it's not fun. Especially because I told the dentist when I went in there I had a cavity. And instead I ended up with a crown and I still have the cavity. Anyway, enough of that. But we begin to associate these cues with behavioral responses so we can get a goal. So over time, the thoughts ultimately just kind of flow. We don't have to think so much, right? Hopefully, children like my 9-year-old has established the habit of saying please so that he doesn't have to hear every time, could you use your manners? Could you use your manners? Could you use their manners? But the goal is to get something, right? And kids are more likely to get that something, at least in my house, if they use better manners. So a lot of times, unless we're aware of how habits work, it's hard to develop them. Habits that we have already, we don't think about them. So therefore, we're not probably going to sit and dissect. Where did that habit start? What is it I'm seeking? What is the cue? What is the behavior? What is the reward? So when we try to intervene on ourselves to break a habit or to develop a new habit, guess what it's going to require? Same thing as everybody else, everything else I talk about. Effort. It also requires some awareness. So when I talked about those 4 ACEs a long, long time ago, awareness, attitude, acceptance, accountability, and I can't remember the other one right now, but we have to put forth that effort. E is the effort in 4 ACEs. And we have to be aware of what we're doing. We have to do it conscientiously. And we have to take accountability. We have to accept accountability for doing that. So as an adult, you can imagine for us why it's more difficult to break a habit or develop a new habit, because we don't have a parent constantly saying, could you try that again? Could you try that again? So we are kind of on our own, but that's why we have support groups. That's why we ask our friends to help us in our development of these healthy habits. Now, you know, when it comes to our eating behaviors, there are healthy eating habits for bariatric patients. And please remember that as a bariatric patient, you are a bariatric patient, which means, unless you approve this with a bariatric dietitian, refrain from going off on these fad diets. Or unless you're working with a bariatrician, refrain from embarking on just taking medications or supplements. You need to work with a bariatric dietitian and a bariatrician who's a physician who works in weight loss, because you're a bariatric patient. You've had weight loss surgery. So you eat like you're instructed to eat as a bariatric patient. Just saying, just throwing that in there as a reminder to help you develop that habit. But you know that healthy habits for bariatric patients, which your dietitian and your bariatrician are going to tell you, and your surgeon, eat your protein first. Eat every 3 to 4 hours, including that breakfast that people tend to want to skip, right? Take your bariatric vitamins, drink plenty of water, plan your meals. You know these things, right? So unhealthy eating habits for anybody, regardless of whether you've had weight loss surgery or trying to lose weight without surgery, is don't have so much salt in your food. It can, especially if you have high blood pressure, it can cause issues, right? Prevent yourself from watching TV while you're eating, because what do we do then? We eat mindlessly. So we lose track of our portions. We lose track of how much of that bag of chips you've been eating or whatever it is. Eat all of your meals. Avoid skipping meals. Unhealthy habit, emotional eating. That's when we're really going to hone in on here. Not today, but in upcoming weeks, because so many people in my experience in these last 16 years tell me so often that they are emotional eaters. They're emotional eaters. They're emotional eaters. We have to work hard on breaking that habit. And We talked about what are you doing it for? What are you doing it for? I'm doing it so I can maintain my healthy weight. We got to cue things. We've got to implement a behavior. And then we got to say, the reason I'm doing this, that's how you develop and break habits. So we'll talk about that. Another unhealthy eating habit for a lot of people is snacking in the evenings. So we're going to talk about all of these things. And one of the things that I want to emphasize today, well, a couple of things actually. I talk about pairing your earbuds with your phone. I don't know if you guys have these things or if you don't, but I think a lot of times when we're learning healthy eating habits or trying to break healthy eating habits, it's kind of like pairing, at least for me, who is not an electronics guru by any stretch of the imagination. I'll try to pair those suckers and it'll say connect and then it'll disconnect. So I'm putting in the effort and then something goes wrong. So I have to try again. I have to try again. I have to try again. It shouldn't be, in most of our minds, that difficult to follow the directions to pair my headphones with my phone. And yet, it can be a very frustrating ordeal, can it not? Same as, really, should it be that difficult to eat protein first? Should it be that difficult to eat water? Should it be that difficult to establish these habits for, weight loss and maintaining weight loss? It shouldn't theoretically be that difficult, but it sure can be frustrating, right? Because how many times have you made an attempt and it fails or something gets in the way? And so habit development, developing healthy habits, to me, is kind of like trying to pair my earbuds with my phone. And let me tell you something even more frustrating than that for me, which I have not yet mastered. So I have to work on this habit development. And I have to get some help for this because even though I've Googled it and followed their directions, I'm struggling. So when you are trying to develop a habit, but you're struggling, then maybe you need to ask for help. But my current issue is trying to pair those earbuds with my Mac. Man, I'll tell you what, that's been a struggle. I've accomplished the feat one time ever. But it would be very, very helpful for me if I could learn to do that consistently. Just like it would be very, very helpful for all of us to develop, maintain, learn, whatever, practice, reinforce, accept, take on the accountability for, and develop these habits. So here's where I want to start with this. I want you to think about the habits that you have in your daily life, right? And I want to talk about some of the things for just a few minutes here that have contributed to our development of habits, right? Let's just take brushing your teeth, right? Let's take brushing your teeth. I'm going to hope that you had somebody in your life who helped you pair bedtime, whether it was going to bed or getting out of bed, with brushing your teeth. I'm going to hope that each of us has developed a habit of brushing our teeth before we go to bed and has developed the habit of brushing our teeth when we wake up. So I'm going to assume that. Now, I know that that's not true for everybody, but for the general population, I believe that's true. So let's talk about this. Do you remember how that habit got established in your life? Do you remember being 2 years old and getting your first toothbrush? Do you remember standing on the step stool and, insisting you do it all by myself and, not wanting any toothpaste because that was spicy? I don't, but I'm going through it right now with all of my grandkids. Well, as they were younger. So they're all 4 years old or older. And they still, even the 9-year-old still has to be reminded sometimes, brush your teeth, brush your teeth. So that's the advantage children have over adults in this development of habits, right? They are reminded. We are our own reminders, or we are responsible for setting up our own reminders for our healthy habits. So we'll talk about that as we talk about, setting your phone to take your vitamins, or setting your phone to drink your water, setting your phone alarm will tell you when 3 hours is up and it's time to eat some protein. But nobody's going to do that for you. All right. But when we were children, Hopefully, we had people saying, all right, it's time to get ready for school. Go brush your teeth before we leave. Or it's time for bed. Part of the bedtime thing is brushing your teeth. And there's a lot of studies that show, not only for children, but for adults as well, having a bedtime routine, or what do they call that? Sleep. Oh God, same kind of thing as the sleep routine, hygiene, sleep hygiene is a really important thing. And if we can establish some habits that become our routine, so a routine is kind of a series of habits, right? Each of us may have a little bit different morning routine, but probably includes a lot of the same things, right? Um, Going to the bathroom, brushing our teeth, maybe taking a shower, doing our hair, maybe putting on some makeup, getting dressed, all this stuff before we start our workday. And then most of us, some of us, have a nighttime routine as well, right? And so, whatever your routine consists of, it's a number of little habits that you've established by doing them over and over and over and over and over again. Nobody has to tell me when I get out of bed in the morning that, to get dressed, to get my clothes out, to find some shoes, you know, for children, change your underwear, whatever it is, or adults, change your underwear. I have somebody come in and help me with a project in my house today, and she was saying that her ex-husband had her son for one night, and her son was in a ball tournament this weekend, and that's what reminded me of this. He played in the tournaments, and the kid's like 15, and she said she told the ex-husband, yes, he can come spend the night at your house, but this uniform better get washed, and he better have a shower before he shows up here tomorrow for tomorrow's tournament game. So the kid shows up and she's like mortified. She's like, did you take a shower? Did he wash your uniform? And the kid's like, Mom, kid had no shower, no clean underwear, no clean socks from a ball tournament the night before, no clean uniform. You can imagine how incensed Mama was. Anyway, I digress. But we have these habits, and the combination of these habits forms our morning routine or our nighttime routine. So we don't remember being told brush your teeth in the morning. We don't remember having that little toothbrush put in our hands. We don't remember thinking the toothpaste was too spicy. But we know that we brush our teeth in the morning. We know that we brush our teeth at night, right? It could be biting your nails. Do you remember when you started biting your nails? Maybe, maybe not. But nail biting is often the result of being anxious or nervous or scared or bored or whatever. So you do that behavior and it's like, oh, it gave you something to do. You're no longer bored. So now anytime you're bored, you've paired that association between that behavior and no longer being bored. Or maybe you paired the behavior of biting your nails with calming anxiety. Or maybe you have paired eating something sweet in terms of it calms your anxiety. And maybe that happened years and years and years ago and you don't remember it. But maybe it was when you went home from school and there was nobody else home and you were a little anxious. And so you'd eat something and you didn't feel so anxious anymore. And so now you have this pairing in your mind of sweet foods calm my anxiety. Who knows? I doubt you remember, but what you do have as the result of whatever it was is you have a habit. Maybe you're a nail biter. My husband drums on everything. He's a foot shaker. He's a toe shaker, constantly shake, 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 shake. Oh my God, drives me absolutely crazy. So it could be twirling hair. It could be a number of things. A lot of these things you may not even know you do. We're very unaware of our behaviors. My son has a habit of clearing his throat regularly, I guess. I'm so used to it that when I'm around him, I don't even hear it. But other people are like, is Stephen suffering from allergies? Does Stephen have a cold? Is Stephen okay? I'm like, what? Why do you ask? But apparently he constantly clears his throat and it's become a habit. He's not aware of it. I'm not aware of it. And so he probably has no idea how or when it started. So one of the things is to look at the things we do and realize, A, we may not be consciously aware of what a lot of our habits are. B, the habits we know we have, do we really even remember where they started or how they started or why they started? Probably not. Now, your environment, your genetics can definitely play a part in that. So maybe you had a parent who, was very loud, and if they got upset, they were very, very loud. And maybe now you have a habit of anytime you're upset, you're very, very loud. Or maybe you had a parent who, when they were angry, they just shut down. They didn't say anything, right? And so maybe now you have the habit of, because you learned it in the environment that you were raised, you learned it. Or maybe you were raised in a home where every dinner was followed by dessert. And so you just were raised in it, and so you expect dessert after every dinner. Now, this is a true statement. It sounds like a bunch of BS, but it's true. When I was a child, every adult that I knew smoked cigarettes and drank. And that's the environment in which I lived. And on the weekends, we spent a lot of time with my mom's very extended family, a lot of them. Every single adult smoked cigarettes and they all drank a lot. So I just thought adult smoked and drank. So guess what I did when I went off to college? I started smoking and I started drinking, right? Learned habits. Truth is, I started drinking way before I went to college. However, that's neither here nor there. So there are some behaviors that we learn from others that we just assume, and they're habits for us as well. So there you have it. We may not know, but this is where I want to start. And then next time we're going to talk about these three components to habit formation, which I've alluded to. One is a cue or a trigger. It might be anxiety. And then there's the behavior, which is sweet food. And then there's the reward. I feel better. Or there's a trigger, come out of the shopping mall, behavior, smoke a cigarette, reward, I feel relieved. So maybe and then a lot of these are unconscious. We've lost the idea of the reward. It's just get up, brush your teeth. What's the reward? We don't think of it in terms of that. But the reward has been built into our brains a long, long, long time ago. And that's the thing with habits. We don't have to think about it, a lot of them. We just do them. So one of the things that I want you to do is I want you to start thinking about your daily routines, your daily habits, because what I think you're going to find is that a lot of our day is made up of a lot of habits. We're unaware, just like think about it. You get in the car, you buckle the seatbelt. How consciously do you do that? Or maybe you get in the car and you turn on the radio. I happen to get in the car and my radio comes on automatically and I will shut that sucker off. So just habits, start to tune into yourself and let's look at what our habits are. And then let's look at, do we remember where they came from? Do we remember how we learned them? And then let's start breaking them down. What's the cue or the trigger? What's the behavior? And what's the intended reward? So that's where I'm going to go on Thursday in Berry Aftercare, which you can also be a part of at www.berryaftercare.com. And then we're going to spend some weeks talking about extinguishing or getting rid of some unhealthy eating behaviors and developing some healthy eating habits and really getting in depth with these so you can overcome emotional eating, or you can develop the habit of eating every 3 or 4 hours. But again, nobody's going to be there to remind you. So it's time to adult up like we have to do every day in 1,000 different ways and apply your good, healthy adulting skills to your health as well. All right, guys. So if you have trouble, like me, pairing your earbuds to your phone or your computer, then We're going to show you places you can go to get help in developing these healthy habits of eating habits or pairing your phone. And we're going to talk about the importance of repetition because habits only become habits through repetition. So, I was talking to a woman one time about changing her stinking thinking. Oh, Dr. Stapleton, I tried that. It just doesn't work. And how long did you try that for? 2 weeks. I'm like, you're how old? Oh, 52. I'm guessing it's probably going to take a little bit longer than 2 weeks to undo something you've been doing for maybe 45 years. I don't know. So here we go. Let's get ready. Let's work on this. Let's invite other people to the podcast because everybody has some habits to develop and to break that would assist them in their lives. So this can apply to healthy food habits and behaviors or any kind of other habit development. So I will see you on Thursday. And in the meantime, it's your health. It's your responsibility this day and every day. Make it a great one. And I will see you on Thursday. Bye.